Hi everyone, and welcome to Franka's Fab Family. And I'm wrapping up this week on Money Matters, and I want to talk about inheritance. Inheritance and leaving your children with some type of inheritance, financial inheritance, especially in the Black community. I might have been 22 when I first got my first life insurance, and I realized that the younger you are, the less you pay. So I said, when my children finish school and they first get their job or whatever, I am going to really encourage them, God willing, once I'm around, to get life insurance. I mean, like, take out $2 million, take out $1 million. We as a people have always been told, and unfortunately the generations before us have said things like, well, I'm going to be dead anyway. Figure it out how you're going to bury me or do what you need to do. Parents who say things like that, I'm like, you are getting a black garbage bag burial in like under a tree someplace. The most I'll pay for your plot. And the reason why, when parents take it upon themselves to leave their children in a worse financial state than when they were alive, and that means the average funeral costs a minimum, and that's a real low budget funeral, of $10,000. $10,000, right? And you got to pay that up front. You got to pay for the burial plot, you got to pay for the casket, you got to pay for the funeral home, you got to pay for the embalming, you got to pay for the service, you got to pay for all of that. And that's a very cheap funeral, right? As a parent, for you to decide that you are not even going to have life insurance or some resources to at least pay for your own burial, that again is another financial worthlessness as it comes to behavior. And you know why? Again, in life and in death, I personally believe that we should be financially responsible. The least you can do as an adult is take out a life insurance policy just for your funeral. Just for your funeral. If you have not done that yet, you need to call an insurance agency and find out what does that mean. They even pay, I know you can even many times get it even if you're terminally ill or something like that, right? So that is critical. So fine, you've taken care of your funeral and your burial. Let's talk about an inheritance. The reason why I'm always talking about getting some kind of property, because in your death you can turn that over to your children. It's critical, especially within the Black community, that we start turning over financial wealth, inheritance, something of monetary value to our children. Insurance basically says, while you're living, I am going to pay this small amount, but when I'm dead, my loved ones, particularly my children, will get to benefit from my death, right? There are life insurance policies that even allow your children to buy the policy. Let's say you're older, you're 70, 80, and you have this life insurance policy, but you're on retirement and everything like that. Do you know that most insurance policies allow another family member to buy out the policy from you? That means that they will pay the amount. So think about it. You have a $250,000 policy and you can no longer pay it, but you don't want it to lapse. You allow your adult children or your children to take on the payments of that through the company when they know that they are going to benefit from that money. Unfortunately, we know of a lot of kids that have killed their parents for insurance money. The way insurances go now, the chances of you as an adult getting away with that or a child getting away with that is so slim to none. We know of new married couples that go to the Caribbean and drown the spouse and collect the insurance money. I mean, these insurance companies have like the best lawyers, that the chances of you really getting away with those kind of crimes are like slim to none. So the excuse of, oh, I don't want my kids killing me for the insurance money, give it a rest. That's just being lazy and being like not proactive. And again, if you did well or did right by your kids, the chances of them killing you and hoping to collect the insurance money is so slim anyway. It's like, let's leave those things. It's very important that we as parents set our children up for a financial inheritance. When I pass, God, I'm going to pass eventually. My children would step into a financial blessing that I was not given when I was born. My mother was not given when she was born. Imagine every single person listening to this go out and at least take out $50,000 or $100,000 in insurance. It's a guaranteed payment to your children when you die. And guess what? We are all guaranteed to die. We are all guaranteed, if nothing else in this life, is to die. So why not turn your death into a profit for your children? It's that simple. It really, really is. That's what insurance is. I'm prepared to pay X amount for the rest of my life, so when I die, I leave my children in a better financial state. They will get a lump sum of money just because I died. Think about it, people. Instead of spending 30, 40, 50 years renting an apartment, go and buy yourself, whether it's a fixer-upper house or a new house. And when you die, your children gets that house. Could be an income property. It could be the house they are living in now. You set your children up for a better financial future. You must, it's almost impossible to transfer generational wealth if you don't transfer financial literacy and you don't transfer some type of financial inheritance to your children. Because that would mean that every generation is starting from zero. I started from zero. Every generation is starting from zero. How greater will my children be if they started with a house when I pass? They started with $250,000 when I start. And I've given them the skills and the tools to be financially responsible to multiply that money. I always tell my kids, I hope y'all know, any property that I leave y'all, you can't sell. That goes to my grandchildren, and you tell them the same thing. So if you ever want to sell a property, it will be a property that you bought. But I'm trying to show them that by the time they have children and their children have children, they can set up my lineage, my line of people on the planet that we will be financially set. And the reason why is because I have learned the necessary steps. I'm teaching them the necessary steps, and I will transfer financial blessings to them. And inheritance is so important. We as a people need to understand, if you don't have a will and you are not like turning over your money and everything to your children, what happens is this. It takes about 90 days to go into probate. Probate is when you have to decide, okay, let's say grandma has a house, but no one was paying the property taxes and everybody living in the house and everybody living for free. That's that whole worthless behavior I keep talking about. Imagine you have a family house and no one decides to pay the property tax, no one wants to pay the light bill, no one wants to invest. Even though they're living there, everybody working, everybody enjoying the property, but no one wants to pay to maintain it. When grandma dies, if grandma didn't have a will, it goes to the estate. It goes like to the government. Unless a family member gets the petition for the property. That takes roughly 90 days. That's 3 months to get all of those legalities in line, and that's minimum. Then you still have to pay lawyer fees, you have to pay court fees, you have to pay filing fees and all of that, right? Many times, because if you don't have your taxes up to date, the house can be taken over by other companies or by other people who can pay off the taxes and take the property from you. We need to start being more financially literate, knowledgeable, and responsible, especially my people. We have started at such a financial disadvantage that those of us who have been able to at least walk into a different financial bracket, we need to teach those who don't know. You cannot create generational wealth and transfer generational wealth if you do not have property, you do not have insurance, you did not create a business in this lifetime, and then teach your children to maintain it. In the islands, I know of many. One, oh God bless his soul, he was the first auto sales dealer in the Virgin Islands. He was the first auto sales dealer, very successful businessman. When he passed, because his sons were not prepared to take on the business, it's pretty much down to the grave. It went to the grave with the dad. So all his whole life work, all of the money, millions of dollars, everything is gone. And it's going. Because the children were not prepared to take on that responsibility. So that's even worse to me. To work your whole life to build an empire for your children and then they screw it up. Because you have not transferred the financial literacy and management and knowledge to your children. So you could leave your children an inheritance. And they decide, well, we just gonna live in this house. We ain't paying no rent. Mommy did us well. How long is that gonna last? I make it very clear to my children. You have to pay property taxes. You have to pay the utilities of the building. You have to pay the HOA if you stay in this community. You still have a financial obligation even if the building is paid for. You understand? And my children are young. Luke is 13 now. My children are young, but they understand this concept. They don't understand it in full detail. As they get older every year, I will expose them to more and more. But at least Jordan knows it. God forbid I pass before the others get to Jordan's age. He can transfer that to them, and I make it very, very clear. These are the elements to success in adult life. So inheritance is a very big area in the Black community that we are not holding our own. Even those of us who have turned over properties. I remember in New York, a friend of mine, her grandmother left her sister the property because the grandmother thought that the mother would not be responsible. Not only did the sister take money out on that brownstone building, take it out, she ended up losing the building because she was financially irresponsible. Every time we needed a new car, let me go take out a $20,000 loan. Oh, we need a new boiler. Let me go take out a $15,000 loan. And then you can't make the payments. So you people that are inheriting, it's very important that you get some financial understanding to maintain what you've been given. And you parents that are leaving a financial inheritance, it's so important that you create a will, a trust, or you make sure that you provide the skills needed that your children understand how to manage what you've left. If you have a business, bring your children in on the business. Let them see how it's run. Let them see where all the money goes. Let them see what the supplies are needed, how the accounting goes. Show them, teach them. Because this trial by error, we are suffering unnecessarily because the people that came before us are not just sitting us down and having a conversation in basic things like finances. Oh, when they get big, they'll know. You will know when you're already swimming and sinking in financial debt. Your credit is ruined. They're sending Jordan credit card things. If I hadn't spoken to him, oh, you're going to give me $5,000? Okay, I'll take it. That's not your money. That is money a bank or an organization is loaning you, but you got to pay back a lot more. I can help you develop your credit by taking one small bill and putting it on it while we make sure that you maintain that to show that you can pay your bills on time and develop credit. But we'll talk about credit in another time. But this time is inheritance. As a parent, it's very important that you start thinking what I am going to leave for my children. You can't leave all those steak and red lobsters. I see people spending $400 or $500 on king crab legs at Costco's. Really? Like, I enjoy crab legs, but I will not go and take $400. I'd rather go and get 3 other friends and say, listen, you want to put in $125? We all put in $125 and we get a whole box and we share it. But to sit and eat $400 or $500 worth of food in one sitting and you don't have a house, you don't have a car paid off, you don't have a college education fund for your kids, I just find those things to be very, very worthless financial decision making. While we are to enjoy the fruits of our labor, we should make good financial decisions that help prepare our children better than what we started financially. And if you're not doing that, or if you have not done that, I just want to encourage you. Let me encourage you that you start. And it's as simple as at least covering your funeral cost. Cover it. I don't care if you're 30 now, you're 40 now, if you have any children, or if you don't have any children, at least take out insurance that covers your funeral costs. Do not place a financial burden when you die on your family members, much less your children. When you have a service like insurance that could actually bless your children when you die. Let's start leaving our kids with $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, $1 million when we die. J-Lo insured her legs for $1 million, I remember growing up. Her legs. So if she fell and broke her leg, she gets $1 million. Let's start using these same systems that provided other people with wealth and generational wealth to our own people. I'm telling you, go and get life insurance. Figure out, find out, call somebody. Try to start investing. Even if you leave your children a car that's paid off, a vehicle that's paid off, even if they have a car, at least they could sell your car, like something. Leave your children something, my people. Inheritance is too weak of an area amongst the black community. And I'm telling you, it is an area that we can guarantee a different financial footing if we at least make proper decisions by getting some life insurance or leaving property or something of value to our loved one, particularly to our children. Right? So, remember, financial literacy, financial intelligence is an area that we must master. Take a look back at the week and you will see some tips on how to pay your bills, why it's important to pay your bills, why it's important to save, why it's important to pay your child support, and definitely why it's so important to leave some type of inheritance, that you leave your children in a better financial state than you were in. And you leave them in a better state when you die. When you die, it's better to leave your children in a better financial state than to leave them in debt, because they can't even pay for your funeral. Right? So, that's it for the week for me. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I hope to see you next week. We are going to look at, in the coming weeks, we're going to look at health. Health is a very critical part that I think many parents could really, take the bull by the horn a little bit more. Education. Education is the killer part. The better your education, the better you have an opportunity to get a higher paying job. And of course, you can start a business. Education, again, to me, is just the concept of becoming a full-time learner. So whether you're a business person or you're a scholar in university, you need to be able to learn and retain information, right? So have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Be good to yourself, be good to your children, be good to everyone around you. Let's start to learn, let's start to buck up and make our children have a much better life than in which we started. I am Franka Potter. Hit like and subscribe on our channel. Thank you again for staying with me, and have yourself a wonderful, wonderful weekend. See you next week.